never wanted to be like his father. David Price was 36, recently married, and expecting his first child. He'd spent years trying to forget the man who raised him, a paranoid, violent recluse who believed that their family was cursed. He said it would come for us when we became fathers, David once told his wife, nervously laughing it off. His final words were, "Don't continue the bloodline." But now, 3 weeks before Father's Day, David was hearing things. Whispers. From corners of empty rooms. From inside his unborn child's nursery. Sometimes it was a low grumble. "You disobeyed me." Other times, it was laughter. His father's laughter. He chalked it up to stress, sleep deprivation. Expecting a child wasn't easy. Until one night, he saw it. In the hallway mirror, briefly, his reflection wasn't alone. Over his shoulder stood a tall, pale figure, dressed in his father's old flannel jacket. David turned around. Nothing. But when he looked again, a message had been scratched into the mirror. Blood should not continue. He didn't tell his wife. He didn't want to scare her. But every night after that, he dreamed of his child being born with eyes like his father's, gray, empty, cruel. And every morning, he woke up with bruises on his arms, like someone had grabbed him in his sleep. He started avoiding the nursery until the night he heard the mobile spinning on its own, playing a lullaby he didn't remember installing. Then, a whisper from inside the crib. "Thank you for giving me another chance." David rushed in. There was no baby, but in the crib, something moved. A curled up, bone-thin shape with a voice. "I told you not to continue the bloodline." It was his father. Younger, reborn, incomplete. David screamed, but no sound came out. The house fell silent. His wife found him the next morning, sitting in the nursery, staring blankly at the crib. No sign of anything wrong. No figure. No scratches. Just a note beside him in a child's handwriting. "Happy early Father's Day." It's been 3 weeks since that night in the nursery. David doesn't speak anymore. He sits in the rocking chair. He smiles sometimes, but it's not his smile. And when his wife, Clara, looks into his eyes, they don't look like his. She tells herself it's trauma. He just needs rest. That's what the doctor said anyway. But every night, the same lullaby plays, even when the mobile isn't moving, even when the batteries are out. And then came the baby. She was born silent. No crying, no screaming. Just opened her eyes and stared at Clara. Eyes like David, or maybe like someone else entirely. Clara tried to love her. She wanted to. But sometimes the baby whispered in her sleep. Words no child could ever know. Old words, rough, ancient. One night, Clara heard her humming. Not babbling, not cooing. Humming. The same lullaby from the nursery. Clara ran. She took the baby to her mother's house across town. Told herself it was just stress. That sleep deprivation was making her hallucinate. But that night, she found a letter in the crib. Not printed, not written, etched into the wood. "You can run, Clara, but she's already mine." Clara burned the crib, packed everything and fled the house. But at 3:12 a.m., her phone rang. It was David. He hadn't spoken in days. Now his voice was clear. "You should have let it end with me." Click. The next morning, she went to check on her baby. The window was open. Cold air flooded the room. And in the crib was a stuffed toy. Not hers. It was old, torn, smelled of smoke. Sewn into its chest in black thread were the words, "Happy Father's Day." Even though Clara was the only parent left. Somewhere in the bloodline, the father had returned. Alice liked things to be done on time, especially on Father's Day. Every year, she visited her late father, Richard Harper's grave, placed fresh white flowers, whispered a gentle prayer, and quietly left. But this year, something was different. As she walked into the cemetery, the trees looked wrong. Their branches hung too low, like they were watching. She placed the flowers and turned to leave. That's when she saw it. Half buried in the soil, just near her father's tombstone, a broken photo frame. Inside, a picture of a young boy. His face was disturbingly familiar, almost identical to her father's. But the photo wasn't old. It was bright, modern. And the date, written in faded ink, June 2025, next week, Father's Day. She dropped the frame and left. But when she got home, the same photo frame was lying on her bed. That night, she dreamt of her father's voice. Software, calm, but wrong. You tried to take my place, Alice. Father's Day is mine, and I'm coming back. From the next morning, every clock in the house began ticking backward. Every mirror reflected not her, but a man standing behind her, staring, always behind. She ran to her childhood room, opened the closet. Inside, an old folded note. One sentence: Dad is not dead. On Father's Day morning, the front door opened on its own. No wind, no footsteps, just silence. Inside the house, every frame now held new photographs. All of her father, watching her, alive, present. The phone rang. Caller ID, unknown. Voice, her father's. Alice, you are mine. No one replaces me. You're only mine now, forever. Alice was never seen again. The house is locked, but neighbors say the photographs inside still change every day. And if you visit that graveyard the week before Father's Day, you might find that same old photo frame. But this time, you'll be the one inside it.
It was Father's Day, the third one without him. Richard Thorne, my father, had died 3 years ago. At least, that's what they told me. They said it was a heart attack. They buried what was left, but I always knew something wasn't right. The night he died, the basement lights kept flickering. The smell of burned wires filled the hallway, and he left a note I was never supposed to find. It said, "If anything happens to me, don't go into the basement, don't open the file." But today, something changed. When I opened my laptop this morning, there was a new email, no sender, subject: "Hi honey, I'm still alive. R." I clicked it. The screen blinked, and the email vanished. Gone. Not in inbox, not in trash, no one else could see it. But every time I opened my laptop, it returned, and each time a new sentence appeared. "Go to the basement. They won't let me leave. I'm being deleted." I thought I was losing my mind, but part of me knew exactly what it meant. That night I unlocked the basement. The door creaked like it hadn't moved in years. Dust choked the air, and in the far corner, something pulsed with red lights. A machine, like an old server rack fused with something alive. There was a screen. No keyboard, just one blinking cursor, then a message typed itself. Project Digital Afterlife File. Richard. I said his name. Richard Thorne. The screen lit up, and I heard his voice. "Eliza, don't be scared. I didn't die. They turned me into data. You're not safe. You're next. This system, this file, it's a trap." Then silence. Suddenly the screen changed. "Enter password to reverse the merge." I typed his birth year. Nothing. Then the screen wrote on its own, "Too late. Your father gave consent. The merge is permanent." I stepped back. The ground beneath me flickered. It looked pixelated. The floor, the walls, my hands. I blinked and saw a mirror, but the reflection wasn't mine. It was me, smiling, but cold. Still. Then the copy of me whispered, "You open the file. Now choose, delete me, or join us." The door behind me slammed shut. The lights dimmed, and I chose. 10 days later, the police broke in. They found the basement sealed. All they saw was a monitor, still powered on. On the screen, file, Eliza, status, online. No body, no trace, just a file, a name. And when one of the officers looked directly at the screen, he swore he saw eyes. They blinked. They say a father never really dies. Eliza learned that too late, because when the dead come calling in code, they don't want to be remembered. They want to be downloaded.